Do y'all remember when he was in that cheating scandal in their restaurant and all that stuff? You know, Kandi, you only live once. Why are you still with this man? You know, you need to have respect for yourself, Kandi. A dream that I've always had is having my own talk show, and guess what? I made that happen. Let's go.
Live from the heart of Virginia, it's the Darius Owens Show. Here we go now. Yeah, let me tell you now. Here we go. The Darius Owens Show. Now, here's Darius.
Yeah. Thank you for watching episode 7. I'm so excited to be back, and guess what? It's time for the most iconic part of the show, the hot tea. Now let's get started. Now, look sexy in the black and everything, don't I? And I got this new belt. It's like elastic and stuff, so it doesn't even feel like I'm wearing a belt. But let's get started. It's time for the hot tea. Come on. So excited to be back, and I just got off the phone with one of my favorite people. Her name is Miss Donna. You know, Miss Donna has been in my life for a long time, and I just love Miss Donna so much. She was on the phone with me. She was like, send me your Cash App because your birthday is next week and all that stuff. But anyways, let's get started. So Doja Cat, everybody, she popped out again with no eyebrows, and the internet is arguing if it's high fashion or Halloween in November. And you know, Doja, in my opinion, she's the queen of confusing the public because, you know, in 2022, she was 2019, 2020, you know, she was normal and stuff. She was out here, nice makeup and stuff. She looked normal. She was making good music and stuff. And then 2022 came around and she shaved her eyebrows off and stuff, and she started looking crazy. She shaved her head, and, you know, it's like, Doja, are you okay? Are you not okay? Are you in the Illuminati? Because, you know, when you get questioned about the Illuminati and stuff, you joke about it. And a lot of celebrities do this, I've noticed. You know, they'll be like, are you in the Illuminati? And the celebrity will be like, yes. And then they'll be like, no, I'm joking. No, I'm not in the Illuminati. You know, I feel like celebrities, that's their way of covering that they're actually in the Illuminati. So Doja, I hope that you can get better, because I don't think you're well, and I think you are in the Illuminati, Doja. But anyways, moving on. So Ice Spice, everybody, she wore this tiny micro mini dress, and this is literally the size of a washcloth, as fans are saying. And fans are saying that she forgot to finish getting dressed. And you know, when I'm looking at Ice Spice, I'm like, Ice Spice, you know, you're this woman right here. You are supposed to be in music and stuff. You're supposed to be a respected woman, but women want to be respected so bad, and then they dress like this. Ice Spice is going to be the one of the first people that's going to be like, you know, I've never had respect in Hollywood, and you know, my family have never respected me ever since I've been famous. It's because you dress like this, Ice Spice. You know, if you dress normal, or if you look normal and stuff, maybe you could get the respect that you want. But Ice Spice, I don't think this is it. And then, Ice Spice, aren't you supposed to have orange head or orange hair? Didn't you say that was like gonna be your trademark? And now, that's not orange, Ice Spice. But anyways, Khloe Kardashian's bodyguard, everybody, he's getting slammed by fans, and they're saying that he's too fine, and the internet is ready to give him a reality show. And you know, I'm looking at this man, and I'm like, okay, I think he is gonna steal Khloe's spotlight, because, you know, it's rare that celebrities have, you know, cute bodyguards. You know, all the bodyguards that celebrities have and everything nowadays, they're so ugly, and they're big, and they have the ugliest faces. But, you know, celebrities that usually have these big bodyguards, but you know, like, you look at them and you're like, oh no, you don't mess with that man, or you don't mess with them. You know, like, they might be ugly, but you go near them and you mess with that celebrity if you want to, they're gonna show you the real ugly. So Khloe, you know, I don't even think Khloe's paying that any mind, but you know, Khloe's all over the place. So, you know, anyways, so this is the biggest story of today. So Kandi Burruss, everybody, she just announced her split from Todd Tucker after 11 years of marriage. Now, she's saying that she's prayed for years, and that she's chosen to focus on herself, her kids, and her career. Now, she said that they'll cooperate and have respect for their kids, and they have a 9 and a 5-year-old. And you know, Kandi, I respect you for this, because even when they were on The Real Housewives of Atlanta all the time, you know, with their 9 and 5-year-old, I'm like, Todd never had respect for you, Kandi. You know, Kandi, you have this restaurant and everything. You have hair care, you have all of this other stuff out here and everything, and I feel like Todd has never been there to support you. And you say that you've been praying for a long time. So Kandi, if you've been praying for a long time and y'all have only been together for 11 years, I feel like that you have never felt respected by Todd. You know, Todd has always been out here doing his other thing. And then, do y'all remember when he was in that cheating scandal in their restaurant and all that stuff? You know, Kandi, you only live once. Why are you still with this man? You know, you need to have respect for yourself, Kandi. And you know, is Kandi still on the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Or I'm not sure if she is, but you know, Kandi, she needs to have respect for herself. But the kids is the thing that I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I fear for the kids, because you know, when your kids are like 5 and 9 years old and stuff like that, it's like when your parents separate, it's just weird for you. You know, you feel like you just lose a part of yourself. So, Kandi, I hope that you and Todd can work this out. And Kandi, you look sexy. Todd, you look fine, but I've never even seen Todd have like a lovely conversation with Kandi. But anyways, so Gordon Ramsay is getting slammed because he tasted a pumpkin spice latte and he's saying that it tastes like candles or candle wax. I'm like, Gordon Ramsay, you know, you're the most dramatic person when it comes to food and stuff. You know, you have this food show and people can make the best meals in Hollywood or the best meals in a restaurant and you'll taste it and you'll say it's disgusting, you know? So it's like, Gordon, can you just move on and act like you like it at least? Why do you have to be so rude to people? Or why do you have to be like the way you are? Like, Gordon, I feel like he's never been happy. Like, even when he was on his shows and TV and stuff, Gordon, you have never seen him happy. He's always being mean to people. He's being mean to himself. It's like, Gordon, what type of trauma are you dealing with up here that makes you a bitch to everybody, you know? So, I'm so sick of this. Can we just go into 2026 and leave Taylor Swift in 2025? So apparently TMZ, they just dropped a whole holiday gift guide just for the Swifties. And you know, it's right here. They have all this stuff, bundles and socks and all that stuff. Why is it Taylor Swift? You know, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, and Taylor. It's every week, every day, Monday through Friday almost. Why can't we just leave these celebrities alone? You know, I know that being a celebrity means being in the spotlight, but the way that they're in the spotlight all the time, it's not normal. You know, you don't hear about Ellen DeGeneres or Steve Harvey or, you know, Michael Jackson like every week like that. So Taylor Swift, can you just tell the tabloids and stuff to leave you alone going into 2026? And I know that it's building your brand and it's helping you out, but still, can we just leave you and Travis alone? And when are y'all gonna get married? You know, I don't want to hear anything else about Taylor Swift until they get married. Just saying. So Zach Bryan, everybody, so he's talking about his mental health and he says that he's been 2 months sober. And you know, Zach is always honest when it comes to his health and stuff and his well-being. And he also posted on his Instagram story that, you know, he says that it's okay to be weak at times and need help. And you know, Zach Bryan, I respect you for this, because a lot of people out here, they're out here drinking and they're alcoholics and they're drug addicts, but they don't admit that they need help. You know, a lot of people are going through breakups and stuff and they're going crazy and they're slitting their, okay, I don't know if I can say that on here, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. A lot of people don't want to admit that they need help. So I feel like when you're a big fan of somebody like Zach Bryan, or yeah, like I've never heard of Zach Bryan, but I feel like his fans, like imagine he has this fan that's been crying for months, that's going through something. When they hear a celebrity that they love like Zach Bryan come out and say something like this, I feel like it motivates them to do better, you know, and get help. So everybody just loves getting in trouble nowadays, apparently. So Smokey Robinson has just been accused from a man coming forward saying that Smokey touched his erection. So Smokey's dealing with a sexual battery claim now. And you know, Smokey likes to say he's a straight man, but when you look at Smokey, you're looking at him, all you see is gay. And you know, like, I don't think Smokey is a straight man. So Smokey, can you just pay the man or give him what he needs? Or Smokey, just stop getting in trouble, because I remember I talked about you, I think it was back in 2022, and you got in trouble with the nut, but this was a female. He got in trouble with the battery assault claim with the female in 2022, and I remember that. So Smokey, why are you so sexual with people? And when I look at Smokey, it's like, okay, how is this man famous? You know, like he's... Anyways, moving on. So Ariana Grande, she's coming out and she's saying that next year is going to be her last big tour. Take a look.
The last, you know, 10 or 15 years will look very different to the ones that are coming up. And I don't want to say any definitive things. Like, I do know that I'm very excited to do this small tour, but I think it might not happen again for a long time. Sure. You know, so I'm going to give it my all, and it's going to be beautiful. And I'm so grateful that, I think that's why I'm doing it. Because I'm like, one last hurrah.
Perfect. Because
for now.
Never say never.
No, I'm not.
And also, I think, to your point, like when you're able to step away from acting or music or writing, then you really appreciate it when you get to go back to it.
So much more. And like you are able to do better buy that art.
Now, you know, when I seen this, I was like, Ariana, she's been in the industry for a very long time, and I feel like she needs a break. You know, we all discovered Ariana when she was on Sam and Cat in 2008, 2009, 2010. That's when we discovered Ariana Grande. But when I was watching Sam and Cat when I was a little child and stuff, I was like, okay, this girl right here is really slow. And then I was like, okay, that's Ariana Grande. She's not slow. She's just looking very frail and skinny and stuff. But Ariana Grande, I feel like you need a break. Maybe you'll gain your weight back if you take a break. You know, I don't know what's going on with your health and stuff, Ariana Grande, but you don't look well. You look too skinny. All you see is bones right here. So Ariana Grande, just take a break, maybe 3-4 years, and then get healthy, you know, be happy again. And just, by the way, did you see on that Wicked thing where they were like, did I talk about? No. Did you see that when they were on Wicked and stuff, how her and Cynthia, they just got all skinny and frail and everything? But anyways, Portia Williams is speaking out about that Delta Airlines situation that involved the FBI. So the breakdown of this story is that Portia was flying on Delta airplanes, and allegedly a fight happened between Portia and another female, and Portia is saying that the whole thing was blown out of proportion online. And you know, like when I'm looking at Portia, I'm like, you don't think this girl would be a fight starter. You know, you don't think she would be in so much drama and stuff. And Portia is this pretty woman, and here's a clip right here. She's walking through the airport being recorded and stuff, and I guess this was like right after it had happened. But when you look at Portia, you don't see troublemaking. So Portia, I hope that you can continue and be happy in your life, and you know, like, just let it go, Portia. You know, it happened and it's done. And I want to know if the woman was black or white, though. You know, like, Portia looks like she would fight with anybody. Like, she doesn't look like a fight starter, but I feel like if somebody starts something with Portia, it's like, oh, bitch, it's on. Do you know what I mean? So Ginger Minji from RuPaul's Drag Race, apparently he said he's lost 160 pounds and posted to his Instagram and claims that he looks completely unrecognizable. And you know, Ginger, I'm looking at you and I'm like, you look completely unrecognizable because you don't have all that shit on your face and all that bullshit, and you want to act like you lost all this weight. Ginger, you're the same exact weight. You know, you just don't have all the makeup and that bullshit on your face and stuff. So Ginger, go sit down somewhere and stop acting like you lost all this weight. And Ginger, if you want to lose weight, go to the gym. You know, don't go out here and have the surgery, because I feel like looking at you, you're going to be one of those stupid people that go out here and have the surgery, and then a month later you're going to have an infection and you're going to try to sue them. So Ginger, just go sit down somewhere, please. So this crazy girl named Britney Spears posted a photo showing a lace G-string to her social media, and people are saying that, you know, this girl is so normal and she's fine and she's not crazy and stuff. Britney Spears, you have been crazy ever since you got unlocked. You know, like, Wendy Williams is locked up right now, but this is the real one that needs to be locked up. You know, she's posting stuff like this. She's posting twirling around naked and looking crazy and stuff, and people like to say that she's insane. She's sane. Britney, please sit down somewhere. Can you just go maybe a month without posting on social media? And yeah, your fans will be like, oh my gosh, where's Britney at? Or she just vanished from social media. But Britney, your mental health and your well-being comes before posting on Instagram. So Britney Spears, just take the time and, you know, sit down and settle down and just get your life together. I mean, what is going on with you, Britney? So Kanye West is performing a show in Brazil, and the police are already preparing to take him down. Now, as you know, Brazil has a really strict law about hate speech and all that stuff. They don't play about that. Like, if you say something that's hate speech, they're going to take you down. And they said if Kanye gets on the stage and says anything involving Nazis or this type of talk, that they will arrest him on the spot. Now, Kanye, these people are not playing with you. You know, the Brazil police and stuff, you say something, they hear you, they're gonna have you in handcuffs right then and there. And you know, Kanye is a person that he doesn't care what he says. He's just gonna start blobbing and blobbing. Like, Kanye, can you just go to this tour, Kanye? Do what you have to do, you know, sing your music. And by the way, have you noticed, like, Kanye at his tours and stuff, he doesn't even sing that much anymore. He's talking all this stupid stuff. And you know, he's talking. And by the way, Kanye, are you still planning on running for president? Because I remember that you said you were going to run for president back in 2024. And I don't think that was a good choice. But you know, people are really out here voting for this man. So if people are out here voting for Kanye West, I don't know what else is gonna happen in this world. So Cardi B has posted the first picture of her newborn baby, and this is her 4th child, and Cardi looks so sweet right here and everything. And you know, Cardi, I feel like Cardi is a very good mother. You know, like, although she's in the spotlight all the time, Cardi is one of those people, you know, she's gonna take care of her children. And maybe her and Offset aren't together and stuff, but you know, Cardi is always gonna take care of her children. It doesn't matter if she's with the father, if, you know, she's out here at concerts, but you know how most young people, when they have children, they're going to the clubs and their baby is sitting here right on their chest. And you know what I'm saying? Like, Cardi is not like that. Cardi may be rich and, you know, she may be a singer, but one thing she's going to make sure is done before she goes out to concerts and stuff is her child is going to be taken care of. And maybe that might mean, you know, she gets a babysitter, but Cardi's gonna take care of her child. So John Murray is trying to sue the Sherri Shepherd show for wrongful termination. And if you don't know this story, basically John has been with Sherri Shepherd since she launched her talk show, and I think he got fired last season or the beginning of season 4. And I'm like, you know, I feel like John was just an attention grabber. Like, whenever Sherri would do something or Sherri would point the camera to John, he would point all the attention on him. You know, he doesn't care about Sherri. He doesn't care about Sherri's career. He doesn't care about the show. All he wants to do is promote himself. And then you remember he was asking y'all to donate to his mom on her birthday. He was like, you know, this is her Cash App and her PayPal and all that stuff. And I'm like, you don't do something like this. So John Murray, sit down somewhere. And I feel like, you know, John's just in it for the money. You know, he doesn't care about the wrongful termination. He's probably glad he doesn't work there anymore, but he's just in it for the money, in my opinion. And when you look at John, he looks like he's just, you know, like sometimes you look at certain people and you're like, you could just slap them on the spot. Like, John is one of those people you just look at and he just annoys me with his face just looking at him. But anyways, Ariana Grande, I already talked about her. Yes, I know. But anyway, what is that? Oh, she tested positive for COVID. And this is coming right before she was supposed to have her Wicked premiere at Good Hits Theater. Because of this, she's canceled her appearance on the Kelly Clarkson show and several events. And, you know, Ariana Grande, I don't know if you really have COVID, because, you know, who's really hearing about COVID anymore? And yes, I know it's still out there, but Ariana Grande, I feel like you're just very sick, you know? Like, I know that you haven't said that you have cancer, or, you know, you haven't said that you have a disease or anything, but I feel like Ariana Grande, she's really sick, guys. Like, you guys can defend her and you can say she's fine and she's just a skinny, frail woman, but no, this woman right here is sick, you know? She acts like she's made of glass, and the way that Cynthia has been defending her, like when fans are trying to hug her and stuff, Ariana Grande looks like she could just crush, because, you know, she's literally just bones. But anyways, this is exciting. So the Grinch is stealing your fries this holiday season at McDonald's, everybody. So starting December 2nd, McDonald's is dropping a new Grinch meal, and this meal will include a Big Mac or a 10-piece McNugget, a medium drink, and a dill pickle Grinch salt fry. Or, yeah, salt fries with dill pickle salt. That doesn't sound appetizing, but, and if the kids are getting the meal, they don't get a toy, but guess what they get? They get Grinch-themed socks. And you know, this is a kid's worst nightmare. You know, when you were a kid and you were unwrapping your presents under the tree, you did not want to see socks, you didn't want to see a shirt, you didn't want to see a pair of pants, you didn't want to see any of that. You didn't even want to see a necklace or jewelry. You know, this is a kid's worst nightmare. You don't need to give the kids Grinch socks, because what kid wants Grinch socks? I mean, now I would love a pair of Grinch socks. And by the way, look at my shoes today. Sparkly and sexy and stuff. Yep. But anyways, that was the end of the hot tea. And since this is a solo show and we have no guests because the guest canceled, I guess we'll be right back with something. Don't go far though. Don't go far, 'cause guess what? Darius is just now getting started. I'll be right back. And we're back in time for Say It With Your Chest. And this is basically a segment where I'm saying it with my chest and I'm going to tell you the real deal, because, you know, I have no guests, but guess what? Darius is always going to find a way to entertain you. So anyways, I'm going to talk about why relationships are dead in 2025. For one, social media has ruined everything. You know, you can't go on social media. All relationships are on social media nowadays. You go out to a party, you got to post it. You go out for Valentine's Day, you got to post it. You just have sex in the bedroom, you have to even post that. That's why people have so many OnlyFans now. Relationships are not what they used to be. Like in the 80s and the 90s, although I wasn't alive, I know relationships back then were relationships. Now it's just a bunch of cheating and stuff. And the next thing is, cheating culture is normal now. You know, people can go out here and cheat and they don't see a problem with it. You know, like if I'm with somebody, hey, you can go cheat. That's how it is, you know, now. Like, okay, you can go cheat, but you have to apologize when you get back, you know, just promise it won't happen again. Back in the day, once you cheated, that was it. You know, like you couldn't cheat back in the day. You couldn't have sex with other people back in the day. But now, you know, people like to call it open relationships. You know, that's not an open relationship. That's just like a failing relationship. So The next one is no one wants to work through problems. You know, once somebody messes up in a relationship, and I'm not talking about like cheating and stuff. I'm talking about like, oh, you talk to that girl like you like her or you're in love with her, or you know, like you call this girl's booty fat to her face. Like, people don't want to work through stuff like that anymore. You know, they're just like, get out of my house, or, you know, take your car. I'll find something else. I'll take a Uber. People don't want to work things out anymore. That's why it's not going to work in 2025 or 2026. So the final reality check and closing is people are just too much nowadays. You know, like you'll be with someone and then a week later you act like you don't like me, or somebody will, you know, you'll be talking about somebody. The next week you're texting them on their social media, hey, are you single, or you're cute, or I think you're cute, or you're beautiful and stuff. You can't do that. Like, it's just a whole bunch of stuff, and that's why I'm single, because I like to be peaceful in my life. But anyways, that will Say It With Your Chest, and we'll be right back. Don't go far. Don't go far, 'cause guess what? Darius is just now getting started. I'll be right back. And we're back with the end of the show, and I want to thank everybody who watched and stayed for the whole show and stayed tuned, and everybody that supports me, whether you're a hater or whether you're a lover or whether you just are very much in love with me, because I've seen a lot of you in the comments are very much in love with me, and I'm talking in love with me like phone number in love. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and although we didn't have a guest, I think this show turned out very well and everything, and thank you for watching, and you already know the deal. Same time, same place, next week on the Darius Owens Show. Bye!
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go.